Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julie Chrisley reveals a prison romance was never on her mind. I was their mom. Julie Chrisley didn't strike up a romance during her 28-month prison stay, but was known as the mom of her fellow inmates. Did anybody ever hit on you? Real Housewives of Atlanta alum Candy Burris asked Julie, 52, during the Wednesday, August 13, episode of the Chrisley Confessions 2.0 podcast. Hit on me, Julie replied. No, they really didn't. Candy, 49, went on to clarify her question. I'm saying, you were supposed to be in there for 7 years originally, right? She asked to Julie. That's a long time, because when that happened, I was like, what? I was scared. You were ready to go the whole 7 years with nothing. Julie did not hesitate with her reply. Absolutely. Never crossed my mind, she said. I can say that it never crossed my mind. I think people, because of the show, they had this idea. She's everybody's mom. She's the mom. Going into prison with people knowing Julie as the matriarch from Chrisley knows best played to my advantage, she explained. The girls felt like I was their mom in there. They were on their best behavior, Julie added. Everybody was sweet to me. Julie was incarcerated at the FNC Lexington, Kentucky for 28 months after she and her husband, Todd Chrisley, were convicted on tax evasion and bank and wire fraud charges in 2022. She was sentenced to 7 years behind bars, while Todd, 56, was sentenced to 12 years at the federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida. The couple was released this past May after receiving a presidential pardon from President Donald Trump. Both Julie and Todd have discussed their respective prison stays at length since being released and returning to their podcast. Life is rougher than prison life, Todd said during a podcast episode last month, acknowledging that it's a sad thing to say. Todd explained that it's horrific being in prison, but from an emotional and psychological standpoint, it is harder dealing with day to day. Julie, meanwhile, shared that while behind bars, you don't have any control, which is different from the outside world. She also recalled the advice she received when initially reporting to prison. People told me this when I first got there. You can't live out there and in here at the same time, Julie said, because they'll literally run you crazy, and that's the truth. The longer you're there, the more removed you become to the world. Julie Chrisley has spent much of her life under the public's microscope. First as the polished, quick-witted matriarch on Chrisley Knows Best, and now as a woman serving time in federal prison. But in a rare, deeply candid conversation relayed through her family's new media projects, Julie has made it clear that one rumor circulating about her time behind bars could not be further from the truth, a prison romance. It was never on my mind. Ever, Julie insisted, her voice carrying that unmistakable mix of Southern steel and maternal warmth that viewers know so well. I was there to survive, to keep my faith, and to protect my heart for my family. The last thing I was thinking about was starting some kind of relationship. I wasn't anybody's girlfriend. I was everybody's mom. A life turned upside down. Julie entered prison with her husband, Todd Chrisley, in January 2023, after the couple's widely publicized bank fraud and tax evasion convictions, the separation from her children, especially the younger ones, including her granddaughter Chloe, was, according to Julie, the most excruciating part. When they closed that door behind me, the world went quiet in a way I'd never experienced, she recalled. I told myself, Julie, you've got to stay the same woman in here that you were out there. That meant keeping my morals, my faith, and my promises. Almost immediately after her arrival, whispers spread within the prison, some harmless, some ridiculous, about who might pair up with whom. Julie brushed it all off. I had women tell me, half joking, you'd be the prettiest couple in here with so-and-so, she said. I just laughed. I wasn't here for any of that. It wasn't about me finding companionship. My companionship was in the letters I got from my family and in my nightly prayers. The mom of the unit. If anything, Julie took on a role far more familiar to her, that of a caregiver. New arrivals in her unit often came in scared, defensive, and unsure how to navigate the rigid routines and unspoken rules of prison life. I made sure they knew someone had their back, Julie said. I'd tell them where to sit in the cafeteria to avoid trouble, how to get on the phone list, what guard you could actually talk to without feeling like you were being punished before inmates started calling her Mama J. She earned trust not by bending rules, but by lending a listening ear, a warm smile, and the occasional packet of instant coffee from the commissary. People think prison hardens you, and maybe it does for some, but for me it softened me in certain ways, she reflected. I realized everyone in here has a story. Some of them have never been loved the way they should have been. But me? I couldn't give my heart away. My heart already belonged to my husband, my kids, my grandkids. Rumors from the outside. Outside the prison walls, however, tabloids thrived on speculation. Anonymous sources claimed Julie had found comfort with a fellow inmate, while others pushed the narrative that she had moved on from Todd. Julie's response was unwavering. I don't know where people get this stuff, she said with a small laugh. I've been married for decades. I didn't suddenly forget who I was or what I stood for because I was wearing beige scrubs. She added that she believes those rumors reveal more about the culture of gossip than they do about her. People want to imagine drama in places where there is none. I wish they would imagine more kindness, more faith. But that doesn't sell magazines, does it? Letters of love. Julie's real emotional lifeline came in the form of letters, stacks and stacks of them from Todd, from her children, from friends back home, and even from fans who had followed the family for years. There were days when I would sit on my bunk and read the same letter over and over just to hear their voices in my head, she admitted. It reminded me of why I had to stay strong. I couldn't let myself get distracted by prison politics or flirtations. My focus had to be on getting home. Her correspondence with Todd was particularly vital. The two were in separate facilities hundreds of miles apart, yet their letters became a bridge between their parallel worlds. He'd tell me what he was reading. I'd tell him about the women I was mentoring, and we both talk about the kids, Julie said. That connection kept me grounded. Faith as her anchor. Julie has long spoken openly about her Christian faith, and she said it was her most powerful shield against temptation or hopelessness inside prison. I told myself every morning, God has you here for a reason. Learn the lesson, keep the faith, and don't let this place define you, she said. That didn't leave a lot of room for thinking about romance. My relationship with God deepened, and that was my focus. She found comfort in leading small prayer groups with other inmates. Sometimes only 2 women would show up. Other times, nearly a dozen gathered. They would share scriptures, pray for their children, and talk about life after release. That's where I poured my heart. Into those moments of connection that were about something bigger than all of us, Julie explained. Preparing for the future. With her release date approaching, Julie's attention has shifted toward what comes next. She envisions returning home, hugging her children without the constraints of visiting hours, and cooking Sunday dinners again. I want to get back to my kitchen, to my garden, to the life I built before all of this, she said. Todd and I still have a lot to face together, but we'll face it as we always have, as a team. Her children, especially Savannah, have been vocal in the media about their parents' innocence, but Julie said her main priority isn't the headlines, it's the healing. I've seen enough in here to know that you can't dwell in the past. I have to focus on what I can do to make things right for my family when I get out, she said. No room for regrets or romance. When asked if she regretted not letting herself explore a relationship while inside, Julie didn't hesitate. Absolutely not, she said firmly. I don't think love is something you go hunting for in a place like this. I had love waiting for me outside, and that's where my loyalty stayed. I don't just give that away. Julie knows there will always be those who prefer the more scandalous version of her story, the one with whispered romances and secret trysts, but she's comfortable letting the truth speak for itself. My reality was simple, she concluded. I was a wife. I was a mother. I was a grandmother. And I was Mama J to a few women who needed a little mothering while they were in here. That's the role I chose. That's the role I'll always choose.